Hi, this is Colin with Maker Farm. In this video we're going to show you how to install the extruder and the hot end onto your i3v Prusa that uses the aluminum extrusion. So you should have your extruder built, you should have your hot end assembled. This one is the hexagon hot end that I'm going to be using on this build. We've got our fan installed for the hexagon. The hexagon requires a fan blowing on it at all times. So one thing that I didn't show you in the last video, but I went ahead and grabbed one of my spare thermistor wires that came in the kit and basically soldered those together. You can then go ahead and insulate those wires with cap-on tape or electrical tape or some heat shrink tubing if you have it. And then one thing that I do that's a little different is I cut the end off that says thermistor on it, strip the wires, and then what I did is I got in your LCD kit, you're going to have one of these. The ramps kit that we have, it already has these soldered in, so you don't need these. But what I do is I go ahead and get some wire cutters and I just cut off two of those like that, so that I have two of the little pins, if you can see that. And then what I do is I solder those onto the end of the wire that I cut off that is currently connected to the fan. And then all you have to do is you connect this directly to your power supply. We're going to connect this onto our ramps, and then I can use it as a disconnect and just basically plug it in. Make sure you plug in red to red, they're both on the top, black to black's both on the bottom. If you have it reversed, it won't work very well. Then I just covered that piece in some electrical tape to keep it insulated. So that makes it pretty nice. It makes it easy to just disconnect your hot end and remove it if you wanted to put a different one on there. So, or I guess the fan if you wanted to remove the extruder. So I'm going to get my wires all undone here for the motor. And we've got our thermistor wire in, and we've got our ceramic heater wire. The ceramic heater wire, the ends aren't going to be stripped yet, so you're going to want to strip those ends for later when we install it in our ramps together. Now what I like to do, I like to gather all of my wires and zip tie them together up here. That kind of keeps them all out of the way and together so they don't interfere with anything. And then we'll zip tie them up more later on. Okay, now we're going to grab a printer. So you can see our X carriage is right here. We can then get the hardware that's going to be listed on that installing the extruder page of the build guide. Basically it's two M4 nuts and two M4 bolts. And what you can do is, if you see here on your extruder, there's going to be a nut trap right there that we can put one nut, and then there's going to be another one right over here underneath the motor. It's a little hard to get in there at first, and then we can put this down on there, line it up with the holes, and then tighten that up. I'm just going to do one of them at a time, and then I'll put the other bolt in, the other nut. Okay, so that side's tight, and then you can do the same thing with the other side. You may want to use some needle nose pliers to hold on to that, feed it in, drop it down in that little nut trap so that you can install that second bolt. This one's a little harder if your wires are in the way. So you can't really see what I'm doing, but basically we're installing those 2 bolts there. Okay, so that's nice and tight, so our extruder's on there. Now what we need to do is we're going to take our wires, we want to get them up out of the way. What we don't want is for you to be printing and have your wires hanging here and get sucked into your gears. So what we can do is move this as far away as we can to the other side and then down. I'm going to show you here. On the top there's 2 holes right there, and what we can basically do is move the extruder at the farthest away point that it can be, then give it a little extra slack, and then we can put a zip tie in there. And we're going to zip tie those wires in place. Keep them all together so they can look nice, give it a little bit of slack, and then lock them in. And cut off the excess. So, when you look at it from the front, you're going to see our wires. We can put more zip ties on them later to keep them all together, or you can put some sort of wire casing around them. But then our wires will be going to the back, which is where we're going to put our electronics, and we're going to do that in the next video. Make sure, check out the build guide if you have any questions. You can also contact us if you have any questions. There's contact information in the build guide also. Thank you.